All of the discussion surrounding Madam Web has been negative, and with every single teaser and trailer they release, the less excited people seem for this film. But right now, there are rumors circulating the internet that this movie is going to ruin the most iconic Spider-Man quote, and to top it off, it could be a potential record low opening for Sony's Spider-Man universe films, causing major concern for the franchise's future. I have a few different things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, follow me on social media, and consider supporting through Patreon or via YouTube memberships. So I have two Game Rant articles that I wanted to reference, but let's start with this one. It says that Madam Web is rumored to have tweaked Spider-Man's mantra, "With great power comes great responsibility," a quote that has symbolized the superhero's moral compass for decades. If they do this, there is no possible way that people are going to support this. There are some things that you need to carry movie after movie, no matter how many iterations of a character there are, and this quote is one of them. If this quote gets changed around, there is going to be so many people who are going to be furious with this film, and it will be a guaranteed disaster. This rumor has been circulating for a couple of days at this point, and according to a Twitter/X account, Cryptic for Call, Madam Web will feature a different version of this quote. Now, keep in mind, this is, being originated from this source, but there are several, accounts on Twitter/X that typically leak information that are saying this is true. They are actually going to make this change. But the line that is in the final cut is allegedly, "When you take on the responsibility, great power will come." We already knew this movie was most likely going to be a girl boss cringe fest, just judging by the characters that they've added, judging by the rumored story that this movie follows. But the fact that they just couldn't deal with having an iconic quote typically said by one of the most iconic men in the Spiderverse, they just had to change it. Because of course they've already changed so much with this movie. Like, Madam Web is a young, hot actress when in reality she's supposed to be an older blind lady because she's got psychokinetic powers. This is what they've decided audiences want, which could not be further from the truth. I wish that I could say I was surprised that they're doing this, but I'm not, and it's such a disrespect to Stan Lee's legacy. This originally appeared in a closing narration in the 1962 Amazing Fantasy number 15, and of course he took the idea from Winston Churchill, who said in 1906, "Where there is great power, there is great responsibility," but it's been popularized because of Stan Lee, and of course his characters who have said it, and to just change it, because of course this movie changes a lot simply because they wanted it to be a girl power film. It's just so terrible. It's such a massive disrespect, and the only reason this movie is being made in the first place is because of people like Stan Lee, who they now are just openly disrespecting. But I honestly am kind of rooting for this movie to fail at this point. Maybe it'll end up being really good. Obviously, haven't seen it yet. All of the rumors surrounding it point to it potentially being a reboot, because there is a rumor that, of course, Mary is in this movie and she is currently pregnant with an iteration of Peter Parker, and that is why this whole Spider-Verse movie is happening, that they, of course, have to save the woman who is pregnant with Peter's mother, and then a new Spider-Man will basically be born, and this could lead to a reboot because Tom Holland is so furious at Marvel, allegedly, because he still hasn't gotten paid as much as the other big, the big actors like Chris Hemsworth, even though right now they're not actively filming another Spider-Man movie, which definitely bodes in favor of the rumors surrounding Madam Web. But it seems that the box office debut might set an unwanted record for Sony's Spider-Man universe films. And if they really are making all of these changes, I don't particularly care. I do not care if this movie ends up being a major flop, even worse than Morbius at this rate. It says the box office predictions indicate a potential record low opening for the Sony Spider-Man universe films, causing concern for the future. Despite being highly anticipated, I have not seen anybody who's actually excited for this movie. Early projections suggest that it may struggle at the box office. Not only does it seem like they are trying to reboot Spider-Man yet again, this movie is a girl boss cringe fest, at least from the teasers and trailers. It seems like they shoved as many female characters into it as they possibly could, and they really wanted this to almost rival the Marvels. I think they were hoping a few months ago when the Marvels released, it was going to be really popular, and so it would start this like wave of female superheroes again. Of course, for years at this point, companies like Marvel have been trying to highlight their female superheroes and try to get people onto the, trend of an all-female cast or a female-centric story, and that has not worked so far. And if they really were hoping that the Marvels was going to do good, and of course Madam Web was going to ride on that like box office high, they clearly were not thinking very much about how audiences would take all of these female characters. I'm perfectly fine with a female-centric film, don't get me wrong, but unfortunately, none of these female characters really interest me. And of course, I am a female comic book fan, and I am right in the demographic that they want to target. I'm a female. I have loved comics for many years, and I don't think that this is going to bring in many women like me, and of course it's not going to bring in the men who have popularized comic books. And I mean, they've basically just given all of the men a giant slap in the face since they've continued to denigrate male characters in order to prop up female characters. And they really tried with this movie. I mean, they tried to get a star-studded cast, right? Sydney Sweeney is a very popular actress right now. She most notably is in things like Euphoria. Of course, they got Dakota Johnson, who is a beautiful actress. All of these actresses are beautiful, don't get me wrong, but Dakota Johnson is known for 50 Shades of Grey, and some of the marketing material for this movie has definitely had her in this like more female desirable position. It's like they've really tried to utilize these pretty females, which is odd. And it's good. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love seeing pretty females in roles, but it's like they thought that would make up for all of the changes that are rumored to be made in this movie, which of course is just not going to be the case. They are going to face massive backlash if this iconic quote is changed, if of course the story is basically just a giant reboot for the Spiderverse yet again. It will be interesting to see what ends up happening, but Sony is facing some major backlash right now and pressure to stick the landing with Madam Web. It does come out on Valentine's Day, so it's still a couple of weeks away. It will be interesting to see the box office predictions, as right now there are none released, but it really looks like this movie is going to be a major failure. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this and of course found it important and informative, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.